So far, I would say Holy is looking pretty all right as a character. It really just depends on like what exactly her whole plan is and like what exactly she's doing, because obviously like we're kept in the dark here. We don't know exactly where her motivations and ideas are going. My guess is she wants to use Shiki to both, like she wants to use the situation to have Shiki lose essentially in the long run, like maybe betray him after they defeat Dead and Crow and Ziggy, so she takes all of them out at once. I think that's her plan or something along those lines, because clearly she doesn't have the most, like, at least as of right now, I'd say she's not the most trustable character for Shiki. As for the readers as well, on top of that, she's kind of like still in that odd area, like not like how early Laguna was, but obviously way more suspicious. Right now, the only thing we have that kind of like makes it a little bit easy on her is the fact that she herself said that it wasn't, what was her exact words? Like, she didn't believe that they were evil, and she believes that both there are bad people in their whole army as well as there are good people that are viewed as bad. I don't, like, she could just be saying that to kind of, to win them over. Maybe, who knows? She's obviously a character we know nothing about from like an in-depth standpoint. We only have her from a very broad couple interactions and a little bit of information. But I think that the whole thing with Dead and Crow is a really interesting plot kind of addition. It reminds me of, like, for instance, back in Rave Master, was it Doryu and, oh my god, I forgot the gold claimer dude name. I think it was just Ogre. They formed a union sort of between two bad guy groups. It's not like, yeah, we're fusing. It's like we're just kind of gonna have like a code thing that we're gonna do together. And that seems to be what's going on between these guys. Confirming also that he's an android. And I also wonder how many of them are like left are going to be androids, because we know that there's what, 3 left, because we have Nero, we have Elsie, and we had Drac and Joe, and then we had the 3, what was it, Dead End Crow, Nox, or was it Saint Fire Nox, and then we had Act Noel, or whatever her name was. There was a couple things that we said, like we had 3 in the mystery area, but the people in the mystery area, I assumed that they were, like, I assumed that 2 of them would probably be mechanical. Act Noel seems the most logical to me, whereas like Dead and Crow I thought maybe was like a 50-50. So it's like maybe Saint Fire Nox is a human, or maybe they're all gonna be machines. But the union between him and Ziggy I think is gonna be really cool. I'm guessing that means, at least from what I'm hoping, Dead and Crow is going to be, like, Crow's going to be the real main villain of this arc, where Ziggy is going to be probably something more in the back. Think of kind of like Vader, like Darth Vader and Palpatine kind of thing. Or like well, it's not the same thing with Sauron and Saruman, but like, that idea where it's like, clearly it's focused on this, but there's a bigger character in the area. Kind of, I guess, kind of another one. It's like Tartaros with Acnologia. Like, it's somebody that's there, but he's not somebody that we're all going to be just directly staring at for the big finale in like the most like direct story sense, like directly from events. Like, there might be something follow up, but it's not going to be what's going to be the focus of like characters and their battles and stuff. Her, like, she seems cool so far at, like, for the main cast. Obviously that's just based off of this really, what, like 2 chapters. She like murks these like random guys over off on the side. They like melt, and she seems to like want to know what Shiki's response is, and that to me is the kind of like weird thing that is like, is the next couple chapters going to tell us already like how her stance is? Because if she if she like kills people and just for no reason, and Shiki is aware of it, he's gonna be mad about it. Like, we know that Shiki's not for senseless murder. He doesn't even seem to be really for murder in general, and hasn't kind of got like that click in his head, like of where he draws the line, or if he's ever going to draw that line for his grounds for killing somebody, for, you know, taking out an enemy permanently. So with him, I would like to know what he's going to do, obviously, next chapter as well. I assume he's just gonna have, like, you know, a reaction that's gonna be very negative. With Dead End Crow, I'm really hoping that we see, I'm hoping we get like a good shot of him within the next chapter or two, where we can just see him as like his full being out in the open and, you know, showing off his design, because he seems cool. And why he's a little extra cool to me is Mishima doesn't do like the really big, overly gigantic buff characters very often. So this would be pretty neat just to see like an extra little, you know, extra rare character to have. We don't get him. It's what I was kind of hoping with Nero, just the fact that even though he was pretty much just like a regular human-sized person, I like that he was just this weird fish guy. So he stood out a little bit for, you know, for the villains. That you had this dude with weird fish dreads, you know, from an alien race we're completely unaware of, that we never saw any other versions of his people or found out anything about like his race as a whole. That's something I think that Eden Zero kind of lacks right now, is like any established alien races. Like, I think that we kind of need that, given the fact that it is a space series. We don't need like 30, but I would like there to be like a couple known races that's like, okay, we know what these guys do by default, just because it's something that's neat to have for, you know, a space series, because obviously you can do lots of neat stuff with aliens. So as of right now, it looks like they're getting ready now to go to Lendard. I was guessing that like it was gonna end up actually being set to where Dead End Crow was going to be like a plot that led up to the arc with Ziggy. Like, it was gonna be essentially one more arc then Lendard. But if they're teaming up, I feel like the most logical thing is that Ziggy is going to not be the main focus villain, because obviously he's not going to lose yet. There's no way he's going to lose this at this point in the story, because there's still a lot of stuff to happen. And clearly from the heroes panel, where Mishima drew the big main focus villains all together, he drew Ziggy next to Lucia and Zeref. And Lucia was the final villain of Rave Master, but Zeref was really like the big main focus and most influential villain of Fairy Tail, whereas like that's the case for Ziggy in Eden Zero. So I don't think it would make sense for him to lose anytime soon. Seriously, I don't think he'd be like an actual like full he's gone, kind of like his character's done. I can see him having like a defeat, and then, you know, I mentioned it in an earlier review where he has like some kind of like, you know, robot upgrading scenario where he analyzes all the weaknesses and stuff and just upgrades all his parts. Because I think a robot character like that, that's clearly like ongoing, evolving, upgrading, and advancing, like can logically take a loss, as long as that loss is set up to something like that, where it's like, oh well, that's just, it works in its favor because now it can build itself even stronger and better and adapt. Like there's a little bonus to stuff like that, you know. It just gives an extra perk to a character's unique trait. In Ziggy's case, he's a machine. So I like where this is going. I like the team up. I'm very curious to see what's gonna happen with Holy when she starts to actually do stuff. When she starts to actually, Holy. Because I thought I got mixed up, but Feather is the one we just saw, and I thought it was Kier, but Kier's like the dude, like the big weird dude with the horns, I think. But with Holy right now, I'm enjoying what we've been presented. I think she has a lot of potential. I think her character is setting up, at least right now, to look good. I'm getting a little bit of an Ultier vibe from her. Not the same thing, but a little bit of just that kind of spice to her character, where maybe she's an enemy, maybe she's not, maybe she's got motives that are her own and not even for the whole Federation, like the whole army that she set up in. Who knows? Like that's the interesting part I think about her character right now. So other than that, comment below. Tell me your thoughts about this. I know I talked way more broad about like the stuff going on because like I missed last chapter, and this chapter was like the last chapter had just a lot of kind of like side character content, which I just to give my TLDR about, I was happy about, because one of the things I've had a not an issue, but like if I had to say a complaint about Eden Zero was is there's not enough kind of downtime for this the main cast, so we don't get a lot of them just as characters. We're seeing them way more in the events of the story and fights and plots, and it's always good to have a little bit of downtime so you just see the characters in their most kind of relaxed and regular state, because it makes them feel more grounded and human. Obviously these guys are human, but I'm talking about from a story standpoint. So I did like that. That's essentially me giving a quick summary of my opinions of last chapter. I enjoyed it. I thought it was a well-needed chapter that, you know, does do a good amount for the characters. Yeah, you know, as their, you know, as I said, just kind of like general character content. But with here, I think that the more interesting stuff going on is that kind of whatever is going on in the back game, whatever she's planning and whatever she's gotten going on. So comment below, tell me your thoughts about this chapter, and I really appreciate it. Again, if you would, thumbs up the video, befriend the like button, subscribe button if you haven't, and I really appreciate checking out my other videos. And if anyone who's already subscribed, thank you for listening. Bye.